Since that fight, George had another victory, a comeback victory. He beat George Koscheck at UFC 74 in Las Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, GSP. How are you?
All good. About yourself?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me here.
It's interesting to watch. You know, if you'd have gone back 10 years ago, the idea of a Canadian superstar in something called UFC would have caught a lot of people by surprise. But I mean, this is relatively new for you. What's it like?
Well, I work very hard to be where I'm at, and of course I've been an underdog all my life, but we got everything we need to be a good MMA athlete in Canada, and I'm very proud. So far I had a lot of success. You know.
You were at the fight on the weekend. I saw you there.
Yes, I did.
What did you think of it?
I'm very happy. One of my training partner, Keith Jardine, actually. I trained with him.
Dean of Mean.
Dean of Mean. He beat the favorite guy, Chuck Liddell. He was the underdog, and he surprised everybody by doing this.
You know, for people who are fans of UFC, you're watching this interview now, and you know who George is. And for those who haven't watched it and think it is just a glorified, you know, bar brawl, essentially, what I find so interesting about the sport is that, unlike boxing, in wrestling, you know who's going to win because it's written. And in boxing, as we were talking about before, most boxers pad their record by fighting tomato cans, or basically me. You know, they could beat me. But in mixed martial arts, you guys fight fighters every day who you could lose to.
Absolutely. There is so many factors that can influence a fight. I would say the reason is when you're training for a fight, it's 90% mental, 90% physical, 10% mental. When you get into that fight, it's the opposite. It's 90% mental and 10% physical because your training is already done. So we were talking about Chuck Liddell, for example. He lost to Quinton Jackson before. So now people know that Chuck Liddell is a human being. People know that he can lose, actually. So that's why maybe Keith Jardine came very strong into that fight, because he was confident.
You've gone into the fight as a champion. You've gotten into the fight after losing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it a different mindset for you when you walk into a ring, when you know, to the octagon, when you know that the other guy knows you can be beat?
Absolutely, absolutely. In my case, it made me stronger. When I lost and I came back, every time I lost, I have 2 losses in my career, in my professional career, and I came back stronger from it. I think, from another perspective of view, I think what's defined you, it's not what happened to you, it's how you react to what happened. And I think if you look at all the great champions in sport history, that's how what's defined them is how they react to what happened.
You guys are obviously physically unstoppable most of the time. You guys are mentally prepared. But tell me this honestly: when you walk into a ring, into the octagon before a fight, do you get scared? Because it's not like boxing where the refs stop the fight if it gets a little out of hand. The fights I watched on the weekend, guys were getting the living shit kicked out of them. And they had to make the decision to tap out. You know, do you get scared going into a fight?
Of course I'm scared. I'm not scared of my opponent. I'm scared to not perform like I'm supposed to. I'm scared to not perform as well as I'm supposed to. But I've been in 2 different cases. But I'm gonna tell you something. When I do everything I'm supposed to before a fight, when I'm ready for it, I know I can lose. Win or lose, I don't control this thing. Nobody does. You know, nobody's invincible. Everybody can be beat. But if you know you're very well prepared and you did all your homework, you go there with your mind. Your mind is free. You know. So
how did you come to this? How did you come to this? You know, because you know, when we were kids, you grew up just outside Montreal, right? When your grandfather could tell you a story about the guy who played for the Habs or the guy who played for the Bruins, and so we grew up with this idea that we could, you know, oh, there's hockey, there's this legacy. But you guys are right now, you're those guys that when I'm a grandfather, I'll be talking about. Oh, you should have seen GSP, or you should have seen the Iceman, right? Like, you're in that beginning moment of a sport. How did it come to you? Well,
I was just a big fan of martial art, and when I was a kid, MMA doesn't exist at that time. I started karate when I was 7 years old, and I became a huge MMA fan after I saw Royce Gracie. So when I saw him, I got inspired by him, and I right away knew that's what I wanted to be. And you know, when you have a dream and you believe in it, you have to work for it, and I think there is nothing impossible in life. And I've been an underdog all my life, but you know, I work hard to be where I'm at, and I'm very happy.
Tell me about that, the underdog thing. How have you been an underdog?
Well, I'm from a little country place. 5,000 people live there. People used to tell me all my life, "Oh, you will never be a fighter. You're not tough enough. You're not strong enough. This and that." And
if you're not tough enough, who are the other bastards in your neighborhood?
Yeah, but I mean by that because I'm from a little country place, and people has this idea that great champion always come from United States or a place where it's more crowded, where it's more how do you say, more
just more
well known, But that's wrong, you need to take this idea out of your mind, If you want something, that's what I would like to say to the kids. If you want something, you have dream. Keep your dream, and you can do it. You just have to make the sacrifice for it. And
well, parents are watching now with their kids, and the kids saying, "See, I wanted to get the pay-per-view event on the weekend," and their mothers won't let them, or their fathers won't let them because they think that it might be a little too brutal for them. To people, because it is a very brutal sport.
It is, absolutely.
What do you say to a parent who's like, I want you to be a role model to my kid, but it's really tough because I don't want them to watch what you do?
Well, first of all, I understand the people who think that is a crazy sport. It is crazy in a certain way. Like it's crazy. Like I told my father the other day, I said, "Dad, you're crazy because you've been working 70 hours a week for more than 30 years, So you're crazy in a certain way. We're all crazy. But you know what I mean?
Yes, but different.
Yeah, exactly. But what I do is I do it as a sport. I grew up as a martial artist. I do that since I'm 7 years old. You're never going to see me fight in the street because I don't like violence. What I do it for as a sport, as a work, as a job.
I interviewed Oscar De La Hoya many years ago, and De La Hoya told me that oftentimes he'll be out in public and there's some drunk jerk who wants to get into a fight with him, and he says, "And I'll lose because I'm a boxer and it's a certain art and I don't think I could fight this kind of bar." What's it like for you at 3 o'clock in the morning in Laval one night at a bar when a bunch of dudes come around going, "Hey, Rush," Like, do you get that?
No, it's very rare, very rare. And I'm the kind of guy, I'm not a cocky guy. I'm a very laid-back guy. I get along with everybody. But if that kind of situation happened to me, I'm just going to find a reason to leave, and I give the guy the props. I will shake his hand, and I will be like, "Oh, you're the best, you're the strongest guy," and I leave. I have nothing to prove, I don't fight in the street.
I guess technically you were the champion, so you're okay, right?
No,
What about the next fight?
Well,
it's a big fight for you.
Absolutely.
You need to win this one strong, right?
I'm fighting for the title now. I'm very glad. I want to get back to what I've lost. I made a mistake last time. I learned a lot from it. That loss was probably the best thing ever happened to me. I came back stronger than ever, and now I want to bring back the title in Canada.
What was the mistake?
Well, I learned a lot of stuff. I didn't was well prepared like I was supposed to. I had a personal issue, a physical issue, and it was one of the hardest part of my life. All the bad luck happened all in the same time, and I let this thing get into my professional life. And I'm the kind of guy who only make a mistake once, never twice.
You're the kind of guy who'll sit there and say, "You will win this next fight"?
I cannot promise my fan that I will win again. But because nobody can do a such thing, nobody is invincible. What I can promise to my fan is that they will see the best George St. Pierre, the most well-prepared George St. Pierre I can be.
When you win, come back and bring the championship here, okay?
After Christmas.
It's good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, GSP. If you want more information about George, go to his website. It's gspfightclub.com. gspfightclub.com. Lots more to come on the show, including this.